cost, you need to have your cost reported by the 20th of each month for the prior month. So like this is June 23rd. So if you had costs in May, you should have those reported by June 20th for the May cost. Now, granted, a lot of you guys don't have your GRS, you don't have access, you may have costs in May, don't worry about it, you can report them in July. So whatever costs that you have associated with this grant, you can report in July. It's just going to show up as a June cost, and it's not a huge deal by any means. But the reason for that is just to try and keep your monthly cost aligned, in our GRS system too. One of the things that we're working through though is because this is ARPA money, we have different reporting requirements. And so we traditionally have quarterly reporting requirements. So if the quarter ends June 30th, which is coming up here soon, the reports would be due July 30th. We would have 30 days to do that. We do not have that with this grant. We have 15 days for reporting. So that's one of the reasons I'm going to go over these report schedules or the report documents with you today too. So quarter ending June 30th, the reports are going to be due July 15th. And if Monica's been sending out the grant agreements for those that we've got done and obligated and back. So I think we've got about 12 or 15 out in the field already.
17.
Yay! Oh, how many? 16?
17.
Yes, this is awesome. And I have to commend our staff, Monica and Rosa, for getting this done. This was a huge, monumental push to get these grants obligated before it was, the 15th. And we had a few that we had to, a little bit later than that. Not many though. It was a monumental task, and we were able to accomplish it. Thank God. Otherwise, you guys would have been, thrown into the whole state fiscal year end and rollover, and it could have been months before, we could get money out to the field. So very, very pleased, with the ability of our staff to get this done. But like I said, so Monica's going to be sending those grant agreements to you once, she gets them, once we get them from accounting. And inside that is the report deliverable schedule. So please pay attention to that. So your reports, like I said, are due the 15th after the end of the quarter. If you don't get them in on time, our system has an automated process that, after so many days, after 5 days, they become delinquent. And then after so long after that, excuse me, I'm sorry, it could throw you into a fiend lock, basically. So, and if you get a fiend lock on your organization, it locks down everything, not just this grant, it locks down every grant that you have with the state. So it's very, very important to make sure you get your reports to us on a timely basis. So with that said, I am going to, hold on a second, got a couple boxes here. Go through what these reports look like. And don't be intimidated by these at all. They're really simple to complete. And once you get it completed once, you can just use the same format and update it and submit it for the next quarter. But we have two reports that are due to us on a quarterly basis. One is a periodic financial report, and one is a periodic performance report. So the financial report, this is what it looks like when you get it. This first front page is just, instructions of what you need to do to complete it. And I really hate because it bounces around real quick on this report. Okay. So this is basically the meat of the report. And like I said, once again, this is super easy to fill out because this is supported by other documentation. So I'm going to be sending these out to you. So you will receive these today. With the instructions. But so we have pre-populated like the CSFA and the CFTA. And those are numbers I know with your auditing. Whenever you have auditors come in, a lot of times they want to know what those are. So anytime, you need to know that it's not only in the grant agreement, but it's on your reports here also. Just provides, what the title is of the program. For everybody, it's just going to be JTED. The grant period. So, and we're pre-populating that. So it's 5/1/2022 to 4/30/2024. There's no mandatory match. So I just went ahead and checked that. And then the supporting documentation behind this is going to be the GRS. So down here, I just said CGRS. So I'm going to go walk through now the things that you need to complete. And it's going to be very simple. You're going to put your grant name up here. Going to put your grant number, and all grant numbers are 21-4 4170, and then whatever we assigned you, 01, 02, 03, 04. And the way we assigned those grant numbers was alphabetical. So we just, put you guys in alphabetically, and we did 01 through, 44 for your grant numbers. So you're going to put your grant number in here. You're going to put your FEEN number and your DUNS number in here. You're going to indicate the date this was prepared. I need to minimize that. There we go. Date this was prepared. And then the report period. So for this particular report, it's going to be May 1st of 2022 through June 30th of 2022. We're just reporting on May and June because these grants weren't established before that. For the next quarter, it'll be July, August, and September. So it'll be, July 1 through September 30th. And then if, when we get to the end of this, it's a final report for the award. So that won't be checked until, until we're back down in 2024 when this program is done. One of the things you could do with this one for sure is no changes from the prior report period and or no new expenses. So you can check this box if you want to check that box, because at this point you may not have any expenses. But if you don't have any changes from the prior report or no new expenses, you can definitely check that box. And then complete your indirect cost rate information, your cost rate, approval, indirect cost basis. This is all information that's in your budget. So if you look under the ICI in your budget, this information should be in there with that. If there is any program income, we can, report this in here, and program interest. We can also get that, and we should be able to get that off the GRS too, because you should be reporting that in the GRS system. But this would be a good spot here too if you want to indicate program income and interest earned, which we don't see usually a lot of that in these programs. And then we just have CGRS here, so nothing in here needs to be completed at all, because we're going to be referencing the grant reporting system for this information. Okay, then down here we need the authorized signatures, name and title, date submitted, and then the email and telephone number. And this does need to be authorized signator or designee that completes this information. So, and basically, once you get this filled out, the next quarter, you're just going to, have the authorized signature, sign, date again. Their email address and telephone number probably won't change. And then up at the top, let me get back to this. Like I said, this thing jumps around real quick. Up here at the top, this information, all your name and everything's going to change. The only thing that's really going to change is the reporting period here. So is there any questions on this before I jump to the supporting documentation for this?
Yeah, I have a question. Oh, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
No, my question on the AOR's name, do you need an actual printed signature on a PDF, or do we just type in the AOR's name?
You can type it in.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, you can type. We've had that done before. If for some reason I'm telling you wrong, I'll let you know. But I know in the past we have allowed, the typing in of that.
I have a question, Tammy, to a comment that you made prior to the form. Did I hear you correctly that even though we don't have access to the GRS system, we can still submit requests for reimbursement for costs incurred? Yes,
you can still submit cash requests.
Okay.
Yes, at this point, I think we would prefer you not putting in any costs until we make sure that the system, that all of the lines are open and it's working appropriately, which will probably be next week. And I'll talk a little bit more on the GRS too, our intentions with that after we get through these reports.
All right, thank you.
Good morning.
Good morning.
How are you going to send this report so we can complete it?
Yes.
To us?
Yes.
Okay.
I will be sending these out with instructions this afternoon.
Great, thank you.
Hi, Tammy. This is Hong Liu from Maha.
Hi.
Hi. Two questions. Good morning. One question is that you mentioned about the DUNS number. Right now, DUNS number is replaced with the UEI number. So shall we still put the old DUNS number or shall we put the UEI number?
You know, and yeah, we are going through that transition. At this point, just leave your DUNS number on that. I anticipate at some point these forms will change. These forms are GATA forms, not just our department forms. So you just use your DUNS number at this time. We know your UEI number in, you know, because we have that in the grant system and everything.
Yes.
But yeah, no, you're exactly right. It is going to the UEI number. This just form has not transitioned to that yet. And I'm sure at some point, GATA will be making adjustments to this.
Okay, second question. Do we need to attach a supporting document for each expenditure?
Yeah, well, I'm going to go through that next and we'll
Okay.
explain exactly what we want with that.
Okay, great. And then this form will be sent by email attachment?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, it'll be a sent, and we have a naming convention. So I've already named this this document. I don't know if you can see it up here, but it's 21-4170, and then I've got an XX. That XX needs to be replaced with those last two digits in your grant number. And then it's this is PFR. And then you're going to put the grant or the quarter end date. So in this particular case, the one that you're going to be reporting on is going to be 06-30-2022. So please make sure that you use the naming conventions when you submit these, because it creates a lot of, time on our part to rename stuff when it's not submitted like that. And we could send it back and say, use this, rename this according to the naming convention. So when we'll go through that too, and I'll show that on the cover sheet when we look at that. So the program financial report and the program performance report both have cover sheets that need to accompany this. So I'm going to go ahead and move over to the cover sheet, and we call it the supporting document. Yes.
You had one other question.
Sure.
Or two other questions. One, just to clarify, this quarter ends July 30th, so the first report is August 15th?
No, this ends June 30th. So the first report is due July 15th. So it's due in a couple of weeks, 2 weeks. And in many cases, I mean, you're probably not going to have anything to report, which is fine too. So we can talk about that, how to complete that. And the what I would recommend is you're going to still have to submit these reports. On the financial report, like I showed you, you could just basically say there was no change. Let me get back to that. Am I back on the financial report, Natasha?
PFR? Yes, you are.
You can just click this box here that says no change from prior report period and or no new expenses. But if you're going to be having, this is kind of tricky because, like I said, you're not going to have any costs in the GRS probably at this point, just because of the transitions that we need to make. But you do have cost. So I would just click this, don't tell you what, let's not click that because I'm sure most of you do have costs. It's just not going to be reported in the GRS at this time. So just submit this with the information. Don't click that. And then when you submit these documents in an email, indicate that, there have been costs for May and June, not currently in the GRS. You could say, due to, DCO, telling you to hold off on reporting costs. And then on the program performance report, I'm sure, probably very few or will have performance at this point either. So we can walk through that. But Selena, we're going to fill this out. Don't worry about checking this box because some of you may have costs that are just not going to be showing up in GRS yet at this point. So let me go back to our cover page.
I had one more other question that was in the chat.
Sure.
So the authorized individuals are on our contract ? And can we update if we would like someone else to be listed to be able to sign these?
Yes. Yeah. And we have a form that I can send out if you want to add authorized signatories also. So yes, we can do that. Let me follow up with information on that. I will include that with these documents when I send it out on the signature. So Okay, and I'll provide that to you when I send these forms out to you. Okay, so for the periodic financial report, you have to submit this document. It's the supporting document cover page. You're going to put in your grant number again here, the grantee name, the DUNS and FEEN once again. And like I said, we may transition that, sometimes to change the DUNS to the UEI number. Report period end. So this would be like 6/30/2022. Number of pages, including cover. So, this may be the cover page, but I know you may have 3 pages behind this, and we'll talk about what those pages are here in a second.
Tammy, should we still, sorry, Tammy, are we supposed to be seeing the page that's periodic financial report still?
No, this is a periodic financial report support document cover page. Do you see that?
No.
Okay, let me stop sharing and then restart.
Thank you.
Thank you for letting me know, because that's what I hate sometimes when you switch between screens, it doesn't share it appropriately.
We all feel that pain, Tammy.
Why can't you just change?
We got it now.
Okay, thank you so much. Let me know. Seriously, if I start talking, you're like, it doesn't sound like, we're not looking at what you're talking about. Let me know. Okay, so this is the supporting document that has to be submitted. So like I said, the PPR or the PFR is pretty simple to fill out, and we just reference the GRS. Here, you're going to enter the grant number, grantee name, DUNS, FEEN, report period end, which is going to be 6/30/2022, number of pages, including the cover page. So that's going to be, it could be multiple pages, and the date submitted. And of course, if it's a final report, you're going to check that, but that is going to be down the road. So for this first report, in your email, just like I said, basically say in the email at this point, there are no costs entered in the GRS. And then so we know that, if we're looking at GRS, that it's not going to correlate with anything. After this quarter, though, you should be able to enter costs in the GRS, and you will have costs. I know some of you are probably still setting up your accounting systems locally. So one of the things that we need to have from you guys, and this is going to be starting the next quarter, the next time we report, which will be reporting July, August, and September, and it'll be due October 15th. You need to include your trial balance. So this is the trial balance. Comes from your accounting system. It's a printout from your accounting system. You also need to include printout screens from the GRS, which is going to be the 362 and the 371. And Josh will go over those. He's going to do a session for us on next Thursday. And hopefully by then we'll have the GRS issues resolved by then. So he'll explain how to get to the 362 and the 371. So basically that's what we need. We need the trial balance from your system, and we need to print out of those 2 screens from the GRS. The other thing we're going to need is because this goes to our accounting office, our fiscal people, and they look at this. And they can also access GRS. So they may look at the GRS also. But anyway, what they're going to do is they're going to look at the trial balance, and they're going to look at what you provided with the 362 and the 371, and they're going to see if it makes sense. So basically, did you charge off the cost to the right line items and that kind of thing? If it's difficult for them to figure it out, you need to do a crosswalk. So what that means is in your trial balance, if you have personnel costs and they're line, 1,000 in our GRS, and you've got your trial balance, and you would go down those lines and say this, and this was charged to line, 1,000 in the GRS. This was charged to line 2,000 and the GRS. So however it correlates, that whatever that crosswalk is. So if it's not easily identified, if we can't figure out how you took this money out of your trial balance and you charged it to our GRS system, then you need to do that crosswalk for us. Does that make sense?
Makes sense to me. Thanks, Tammy.
Okay, awesome. And then once again, we need a bridge too. So if for some reason the GRS and the trial balance don't match, why is that? Why do they not match? Because at the point when you run this report, at the point when you run the 362 and the 371 screens, and you produce your trial balance, the GRS and the trial balance should match. And if they don't, then explain why. And the great part about report is programs doesn't have to do anything with us. We send this to our financial gurus and they figure this out. So you may be getting calls from people from our accounting or fiscal office saying, okay, I don't understand this. Please explain this to me. And then they'll reach out to you and say, we need this corrected. So, and then as I talked about this before, we do have a naming convention. So for this particular document, we wanted to, the example is, it'd be 21-4170, and then whatever your grant number is, trial balance, and then this is 12/31/18. So it's going to be this summary page along with your trial balance, along with your 362 and 371, along with a crosswalk if we need it, along with a bridge if we need it, all in one document. And it's going to be submitted to us, via, electronic, via email. So that's what's included in this document. Then you're also going to be submitting the actual PFR, which is a program financial report. So that's going to be 21-6 or 4170, your grant number. And then it's going to be a PFR, and then it's going to be, it'll be 06/30/2022. And I kind of like having the 2022 instead of just 18. So, because we'll be crossing over some stuff. So any questions on that?
Yes, I do. I'm sorry.
Okay. No, go ahead.
We have already access to GRS because you were talking about screen 362 and 371.
Yeah, and we'll talk about that here in a second. Yeah, because there's several of you that I've had emails from that are saying I can't get into the GRS. And I've got the RAC FID staff that take care of that. I've got your IDs. So after this call, I'm going to be sending out information. If you needed a new ID, you guys submitted a form. And it gave us a name. The one thing I don't like about the way we do this is when we set up IDs, we set it up based upon a person and not necessarily an organization. So you submitted a name and an email address of who would receive the ID. So what I'm going to be sending out to you is, once again, that name of the person and what the ID, and it's going to be an MHD and then 4 numbers afterwards. And then I'm going to give you the information of how to, because what you're going to have to do is send a note to, it's called CEO RACF Security. And then they're going to have to reset your password so that you can go in and you'll have instructions of, this is, you need to go in, you click on this, and then you'll have to reset your password.
Okay, great.
So, and then they'll give you a temporary password. So it'll be spring 123 or whatever. You'll click on that, you'll put in your temporary password, you'll put in your new password, you'll, verify your new password, and then it'll get you in the system. But you'll have a separate email from these documents on that for the ones that have requested a new ID. For those that have IDs, if you're using them, if you're using it for other grants, it's the same process, the same thing. If you need to reset your password, it's the same process that I'm going to give these people with a new ID.
Mm-hmm. I'm not clear about all the supporting documentation must be submitted in a single PDF. What's supporting the documentation? Did you?
Go ahead.
Yes. What do you need for support in the documentation?
Okay, I'm going to need this cover sheet completed, filled out.
Right.
I am going to need your trial balance attached to
right.
it. I'm going to need the 362 and the 371 from the GRS screen.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and we'll have a training on that next week, next Thursday.
Oh, so
for this first submission, you're not going to worry about any of that stuff. For this first submission, you're going to just give us this cover sheet, and in the email, you're going to say there's nothing in GRS, for this quarter.
Okay, very good.
So for this first submission. Any following ones, you're going to have to submit the trial balance, the 362, the 371, a crosswalk if needed, and a bridge if needed. And once again, we're going to talk about the GRS next Thursday, and then we will go through this whole thing again before the next quarterly reports due in October.
Okay, great.
What is the specific email address where this is sent?
You're going to be sending it to, and we'll give you to that. You're going to be sending it to myself, and then LaMonica and Rosa. So we'll have all three of us on it. So if for some reason, one of us is out of the office or whatever, there's three of us that can do this. Because on our end, once we get these reports, we only have 5 days, and it's not even business days. It's 5 days to get these uploaded into our eGrant system. And if we don't get that accomplished, then that's when the system sends out nasty grams to you guys and says you have a delinquent report. So, and so hopefully it's nothing on our end, that we, sends that nasty gram. So we'll have all three of us working, to make sure that these reports are entered timely. Okay, I am going to go ahead and jump to the PPR now. Let me start sharing again to make sure I'm on the right thing. We're going to start with the PPR supporting document. So this looks exactly like the PFR, except for it's the PPR. So once again, your grant number, name, DUNS, report end date. This will be 6/30. Number of pages, afterwards. For this first one, it's probably just going to be 1 for both of these documents because you're not going to have anything behind this. Date submitted, final, it's not going to be a final report. Okay, so what we're going to be doing with this particular report is you're going to be printing out from Illinois Worknet. We call it the Julio report. I don't have an example of it yet because it's not in production yet, but it will be probably next week. So don't worry about any reports attached to this one either. For one, probably nobody has anybody in the system. Nobody has anybody in the system at this point. So you're just going to need to submit this document by itself for this first report. But for October, when you're submitting it, you're going to support this with the report out of the Illinois Worknet System. And my recommendation is for you, when you print that report, to look at it, to make sure, because that's going to be a good gauge to say something doesn't look quite right. I thought we had more clients in there and it's only showing, 18 instead of 23. So it's a good opportunity for you to take a look on a quarterly basis and make sure your data is accurate in the report. So you're going to be submitting this to us with this. And once again, the naming convention is going to be the same. It's going to be your 21-4170 grant number, PPR support, and then the quarter end date. So for this one, it's going to be 06/30/2022. So you'll be submitting this with a PPR, which I am going to pull that up. Let me get the right one here. And that probably didn't change, did it? So I'm going to have to stop sharing and share.
Hi, just real quick for the newbies, can you say what those acronyms are?
You bet.
Thank you.
Hold on 1 second. I can't talk and switch at the same time. Here we go. Okay, so you'll see it at the beginning of the report. PPR is periodic performance report. PFR is periodic financial report. So one is for program and one is for financial. And do you guys see the periodic performance report up on the screen now?
Yes, we do.
Yes, yes.
Okay, great. So this whole top part, once again, is just instructions. You can definitely read through it if you want to.
Hey, Tammy, could you remind me about GRS, what that acronym is?
Grant Reporting System.
Oh, great. And that's just for the financial.
That is just the financial.
The Illinois Worknet will be for programmatic.
Exactly.
Super great. Thank you.
Yep, you got it. So this is a periodic performance report. Once again, you're going to put your grantee name, grant number, DUNS, FEEN. We've already going to have it pre-populated with this and the CFDA program and a state agency. We'll have it pre-populated with the grant period, which is 5/1 through 4/30. You're going to enter the report period end date. So in this particular case, it'll be 6/30/2022. It's not a financial report. I'll just go ahead and click that. So that's done. You only click this at the very end. Let me go ahead and click this too, and we'll have it because it is quarterly. So I'll have that. It'll be pre-populated. You're going to put the date prepared here. And then we'll have this is pre-done for you too. So we just clicked alternate file or database used, and then Illinois Worknet is what we have here for this. which I could call it the Julio report, but I'll just put Illinois Worknet.
Is
And
there a
after
more
that,
form-
what's
Is there a
that?
more formal name for the Julio report? I don't use Worknet, but the person who's going to be drawing the data for me, I want to be able to refer to the report form if it has a specific name.
Yeah, and Natasha, can you help us out with that one?
Always referred to as the Julio report, but we can change the name.
I mean, that's okay if it's listed that way on the Worknet screens, that's fine. I just wanted to be able to refer to it by name for other users.
Are you
Yeah.
guys saying Julio report?
Yes.
Oh, wow, okay.
I will
Keep-
check to
keep
see if
infamous.
I will check to see if other programs are calling it anything different, but just in general, everybody's like calls it the Julio report.
And that is
Excuse
our
me.
manager, the
Ex-
over Office of Employment and Training. So the report kind of took on his name. So everybody, within
Excuse
our
me.
office, everybody knows what that report is.
Okay, got it.
Excuse me, Tammy, can you hear me?
Yes.
Hi. So you're gonna send us this report, or are we pulling this report from Illinois Worknet?
No, well, I'm sending you this document that I'm showing right now.
Oh, okay. And then we submit it on Illinois
Yes.
Worknet. Okay.
No,
got
you
it.
submit it to me. You email it to me.
Oh, okay.
What you're getting from Illinois Worknet, you're not going to do it this quarter, but in October, you're going to be pulling a report out of there that is going to be the supporting
I got it.
documentation for this. Yeah, so
got
we're right now, just like with the financial report, your supporting documentation is your trial balance and screens from the GRS and a crosswalk. The periodic performance report supporting documentation is a report out of Illinois Worknet.
Got it. Thank you.
No worries. Yeah, so like I said, once again, you have to fill out your grantee information up here. Down here, we just referenced that an alternative file is being used and it's Illinois Worknet. So you do not have to complete any of this information here as far as deliverables and performance measures, because we're going to get that out of the system. One of the things that we do want you to indicate though is, do you feel like your performance is on schedule or not? And if not, please indicate why, because this is going to be a trigger for us too, to look at it. We're going to be looking at the information and we're going to be comparing your goals, your plan goals with your actual as we're progressing on this. But if you're not on schedule, and indicate why, and if there's something that we can do to help. So this is an opportunity for us to, to say, okay, it looks like they're having maybe some issues with recruiting, what can we do? Or is there something that we can look at related to that? And then one of the other things too, and this is really hard on the first startups, because a lot of times your costs are a lot more than your performance. So your performance and costs are not in line. As we progress, when we get to 6 months into this program, then that's going to be more in sync. But as you're moving along, if you're identifying that you're having real issues with your cost related to performance, we want you to tell us that too, because there may be things that we can do to help with that too. And like I said, once again, we're going to be monitoring this. So if we're getting a year into this and you're expending a lot of money with very little performance, then we were going to come in and say, first of all, can we correct course? And if that doesn't look like there's going to be any course correction, then we're going to be taking some, stance on this and either maybe de-obligating or, figuring out, what we need to do with that. So 22 and 23, basically what I'm saying is complete those. Once again, we have your authorized signature, phone number, email address, and that's all you need to do on this. So, and I will follow up again, because the question was authorized signature. I want to make sure that it has to be the authorized signature on this particular one. I'm pretty sure it does, but we had made some changes here recently on who has to sign what. So I'll follow up with an email on that. And then I'll follow up to make sure that it can be a typed signature and not digital. I see somebody's hand raised.
You mean physical, physical signature, you mean?
Yes, physical, correct. So with that, that's basically all you need to do to complete this report is that. And once you get this information up here, the only thing you're really changing is the date prepared and then the report period. And date prepared.
Ms.
And
Tammy,
yeah.
May I ask a question? This is Tina Raymond Carter with A Safe Haven.
Yes.
And let me know
I think we lost you. Can you hear us? Tina, can you hear me?
Tammy, I can hear you, but I can't
Okay.
hear
Sure. Okay. For
Tina.
a second, I thought I lost my connection.
Yeah.
That's not surprising.
Hi, I have a quick question. This is Letitia with YWCA.
Uh-huh.
And if we are doing the barrier reduction only, are we also doing this periodic performance report as well?
Yes, you are. Yep.
Okay.
And we'll work with you guys separately. I mean, we're going to eventually, you know, these few sessions we're going to do as groups, but we're probably going to end up breaking because each barrier reduction only is totally different than what everybody else is doing.
Right.
So there's no reason for you guys to participate in everything when they're running the full program. So we'll have sessions just for those grantees also. For what's
Perfect. Thank
specific to you.
Hi, Tammy, this is Hong Liu. For the monthly report, quarterly report, or a semi-annual report, we use the same form.
Yeah, but with this particular form, you're only going to use it on a quarterly basis. So that's why that's checked right here.
Oh, okay.
You're going to be submitting quarterly reports for this grant 15 days after the quarter end, and we go calendar quarter. So it's, you know, January, February, March, April, May, June, July, August, September, October, November, December. And it's 15 days after the quarter end that these are due.
Then for the monthly, what form shall we use?
Well, monthly, we don't really, at this point, unless we identify that there's going to be issues, and we may request individually different types of reports monthly, but we have this information available to us in Illinois Worknet real time, and we've got the information in GRS real time. So we have to, the department has to report on a monthly basis on numbers. We're going to be pulling that from the systems.
I see.
Tammy,
Yeah.
are we able to report in the GRS for cash requests on monthly basis, or do you want those quarterly with the PFR?
No, cash request, you can request at any point, anytime that you're needing cash, but you need to make sure that you have expenditures to support it. We have a startup. We have a availability that you can request, you know, no more than 10% of the total grant, and it shouldn't even be that much. But you can request money upfront for your startup cost. But as the program progresses, then your expenditures and your cash should pretty much align. Cash may always be a little bit more because, you know, you have invoicing and everything, but we shouldn't be seeing like $100,000 cash requests and, you know, $10,000 in expenditures or anything like that by any means. So they should align, you know, as we're progressing, but you can request cash when you need it. You have to report your expenditures by the 20th of the month for the prior month's expenses. And we'll be going over that next Thursday too, when Josh does the GRS training. Like I said, at this point, don't worry about putting any costs in until we have our fix done.
We did have a question, just to confirm, the cash requests are done via GRS?
Yes.
Okay.
All your fiscal stuff is done in GRS. So you're going to be reporting in Illinois Worknet, like on supported service costs and stuff like that. But that, you know, the GRS, your invoicing in the GRS should, you know, will be an example of somebody, you're doing a car repair. You know, and the fiscal gets the invoice for this car repair, then they should be sharing that information with you and say, hey, this car repair, you know, was paid for and this is the amount. And then you're going to be linking that to that service in Illinois Worknet. But that's really the only connection, you know, with Worknet on the cost side. GRS is our official system for financial responsibility.
Hi, Tammy. This is Jane Norton from Rincon Family Services.
Yeah.
For the so you mentioned then for this report due 7/15, we wouldn't have to worry about Illinois Worknet data because we likely don't have any like people placed or completed programs. So, but in October, then we'll for the alternative data source report, we will reference Illinois Worknet. You'll be able to see that information in those reports, right? Or do we attach?
You're going to attach it. There's going to be a
attach
report that you're going to export and attach to the cover sheet.
Okay.
So let me show the cover sheet here again real quick.
Thank you.
Yeah. So, and you know, this is a department requirement, you know, for see the PPR, here we go, or PFR, PPR, here we go. It's a department requirement, and we've always required, and part of this is that, so that way you guys are pulling it, you're looking at it, it's a good opportunity on a quarterly basis to say, hey, everything looks good, we're reporting, everything's in the system correctly. You need to be doing that monthly, and Natasha, as we go on, will be, training on that, on the red flag, yellow flag, green flag stuff. But this is a chance for you to take a look at it and say, yeah, it looks like we're good, with what we've got in there, or this seems something that is not quite right. But what you're going to be providing, and this is a protected document, so I can eventually add this. You're going to be providing the Illinois Worknet report, and we'll get you the title for that, so you know exactly what it is. We'll have that all together for the October, training before we do the reporting in October.
Thanks.
Hi, I'm sorry. This is Tina again. I was disconnected. I apologize for that.
No worries.
I'm not sure if you heard my question or if you answered
No,
it.
what was your question?
I was asking that what activity on the program side generates the enrollment date for our customers?
And, with that, why don't I turn it over to Natasha? I've taken up a lot of time, and I know she's got some things she wants to go over with you guys. So I'll turn it over to her. Expect an email from me. For those that we wanted a new or needed a RACF ID number, I'll be sending an email out with the ID and who it's associated with and information on how to set your password. And then I'll be sending out an email with these reports and instructions on completing the reports.
Okay, great.
Okay. Yeah, so I know we have a few minutes. This ends at 10:30, so I'll stay within that time frame. What I'm showing is our, excuse me, our test system. And what I wanted to show you was, one, how the information that you have set up behind the scenes, like the grantee provider information, how that impacts the intake part of it. And then we'll switch over and just go over those grantee details and the information that needs to be added into the system. We had about 80% of our grantees were able to attend one of the small group TA sessions. If you were not able to attend one of those sessions, then we can set up some additional small group TA sessions if needed. And because it's really important that we just get this information correct and put in the system correct up front, saves everybody a lot of time, and that makes things go much smoother. So just to not assume that people know where to go, you're going to have to go to illinoisworknet.com and you log into your account. If you need access to the tools, the very first step is to create an Illinois Worknet account, send an email to info@, let us know that you need access to the JTED tools, and we will get you set up. You go to My Dashboard. The Customer Support Center is where you're going to access these tools. This is one way to get to the tools. When you get to your set of tools, I'm on test now. You'll see a JTED group. When you go into the group, you'll see your list of people or your add customers. Do not add any customers to the system until all of your initial setup information has been reviewed and approved. But when you go there, you'll add the customer. For the sake of time, I'm just going to go to person I've already added. When you add the customer, it's going to check to see if they already have an Illinois Worknet account. If they already have an Illinois Worknet account, it will use that account and let you know what the username is. If they don't have an Illinois Worknet account, it'll create an Illinois Worknet account for them, and it'll give you the username and password. And you can provide that to the customer. Whenever then we'll say, do you want to go ahead and complete the application? And with the application, it will go through the various demographic information, the eligibility, demographic information. You go to the next part. For eligibility, it'll tell you if you're eligible or not, education, skills and interest, and work history. Looks like I picked a person that is ineligible. Let me go back to my list and let me see if I pick this person. This one's eligible. Of course, it's had that I will just pick. Well, of course, I picked people that are ineligible. We'll just go with it anyway. So let's pretend that this person is eligible. I'm going to go ahead. Well, now I put a stop in there. If they're not eligible, you can't add them in here. So let me go ahead and darn it. I had somebody I thought was eligible up here ready to go. Let me pick this one. Okay. So you can see this person is eligible. It told me they're eligible for category 2. I'm going to go to enrollment status. I can select that they're eligible and signed the agreement. It's important that you have the right information in your grantee details, because this will be able to tell you like which category that you can select for this person. So in this case, it's category 2. I can put my enrollment date, and it's important that you have your programs in here because that's how you're going to enroll them. So category is important and training programs are important. You have to have your training program and the credentials approved before you go through this process. So then once they're enrolled, you can do a service needs assessment, you can do referrals, and you can add in training and services. Again, it's important to make sure that they have the information in the system that identifies the correct category, because that depends on, you know, what services are available for you to choose from when you add a service. And then once you add a service, you can put in the information. You can select the provider. And so if you'll notice, these are those training programs. So I'm going to select one of these training programs, and then that will also, I haven't saved it, but it would also populate the credentials that are here based on which training program. So it's all, my whole point is that it's all related, and that's why it's super important that we have this information correct before we ever get started. So one of the things, if you haven't already done so, along the top screen, you'll see that there's a folder. It's called Provider Info. So you're going to click that folder. When you go to that folder, you're going to click Grantee Details. You're going to select JTED. You're going to select your grantee name. And then I'm going to go ahead and mute one person just because there's a little background noise, but there we go. And so, but you can enter in your associated grant information. You don't have to enter any staff completing training, but you're more than welcome to. You're going to enter in training program information. And this again is the summary of that information. You do not need to do instructors. That was, this is a tool that's used for multiple programs, so you don't have to worry about that. If you have work sites, enter those work sites, because those are used to populate the different services, and you can just like pick from a list once you have those in there. And again, we've pre-populated the services that are available to you to use based on what categories are selected up here at the top. Real quickly, to go to the training program information, because we know that there's a small handful of providers that, I mean, grantees that have their training programs entered into the system. You just go add program. When you go into a program, you select the type of program. If you're using a WIO approved training program, you can click on that, search, and it'll pre-populate some of these fields. Otherwise, just select the other option is to submit a training program for approval. Enter the required fields. Again, make sure the big one to make sure that is not, obviously you want all the information accurate, but this is one of the ones that's important for specific reporting is the SOC code, because there is going to be a report that's going to look at the first 2 digits of the SOC code and then look at the worksite placements. And if they have these first two numbers are the same, then it's going to say, oh, this is a related field. It's not to say that it can't be different. They could be different, but just be prepared to provide a response as to why it's not, the same. And that's just the best that, right now to make sure that we're, trying to make sure that the worksite placements are in the same field as the training program. You put in your projected number, the program contact is who we need to contact if there's, we need to contact them about information that's in the system. And then the next section, we have baseline requirements. I don't have them marked as required, but again, you're more than welcome to fill it out to provide more information about your program. And then the next one is associated credentials. So you're going to submit a request and you're going to enter the information into the system. And then once you do that, then Commerce is going to come back through here and they're going to look at your program. They're going to go in here. They're going to approve the credentials. And then once they approve the credentials, they're going to approve your program. Once this is approved, then you can start adding customers into the system. Okay, let's see here. I haven't looked at, let me look at are there any questions? Tammy?
Yeah, it looks like most of them are how do we enter the system? So the approval, I think we got about 6 or 7 that are ready for approval. So we're going to be looking at those today and tomorrow to get those approved. I think Cheryl was interested in some assistance in getting into the Worknet system, and we had, who else? What do we have?
Oh, good question. So is there a manual on Illinois Worknet? So here's what you go to illinoisworknet.com. You don't have to be logged in to access this. When you go to illinois.com, it's going to default to the orange, which is like our just general user side. You can go to partners. So when you click on partners, you're going to see it flips over to the blue side. And if you scroll down, we have a section for program guides for partners. And we have a job training and economic development tile here. Again, you can access your tools here. But then we also have, we don't have it released. We have to get everybody set up first for the dashboard. But then you'll have your full list of resources. This will continue to be built out as more resources are put together and questions and technical assistance. So this is where you can get your instructions for Illinois Worknet. If there's something that's a related resource, when we have the procedures manual, this will be here. We can put the different sections in there. One thing I wanted to put in here too, we do have the PFR and the PPR, these tools down here. One of the things that came up is when you click on this, it gives you, it's like, I can't read it. See, whenever, I don't know, maybe because I'm in Firefox. If you do it in Chrome, it'll pop up that, it can't read the document. It's just because these have a lot going on with that, document. PDF. And so when you click on it, the next thing you do is just download the document. And then when you open it in your reader, you'll be able to see it. That's just like a standard thing that happens with
Adobe. Yeah, and when I
Chrome.
send the documents out to you, that could happen the same thing. If you click on the document, try to open it, it says, wait, can't access. Download it, and then you have to actually go into Adobe and then open it from Adobe.
Yeah. And then today's videos, we'll go ahead and put the information in here. We'll put the link to the video, and we can put links to the related resources in here as well. So
those are the recorded meetings, right? Like today's meeting?
yes.
Okay.
Yep. I have to download it, and then, we'll put it down here with the archived, but it's up here right now. So, and then I do have what we call office hours. So this is not something that's required for you to attend, but during the first month or so, we wanted to make ourselves available. So if you have any questions that's specifically related to Illinois Worknet, just join this Teams meeting, and I'll be available during that hour to answer any of your questions. So if you weren't able to attend one of the TA sessions, that's a perfect opportunity as well. Okay, I know we're over time. Anything else?
I think, yeah, we want to be respectful of time. Like I said, you'll be receiving some emails from me on the reporting. And then once we have this fix done on the GRS, we'll inform everybody of that too. I was planning on doing a GRS call this afternoon, a pop-up call, as we say, because Josh was not available this morning, but then we found out that there was issues with on the reporting side on GRS. So we need to wait till those are fixed before we do that training. But it'll be, our intentions are, it's going to be next Thursday at 9:30. We'll go through the GRS training again with Josh.
Tammy, I got a question. Our internet dropped and we're still trying to get it back up. Will the recorded call be emailed out to us?
It's Natasha just showed you. I think she's got it in there where there's a link that you can go to, but I can send it to you, William. The link to Illinois Worknet. So anytime that you want to see our resources, you just go to the Illinois Worknet JTED partner page.
Thank you, Tammy.
Hi, I have a couple questions. When are those office hours? And if we have a customer added, do we need to go back and delete them at this point?
I can take a look at when the person, I'll look at the person and see if we need to delete them. I think I'll have to have my programmer delete it anyway. Okay. But if it's, let me just take a look at the situation, and then I can tell you if we can just leave it at this point in time. And then I'm putting a link to the page that has the office hours on it. It has, and I can share my screen too. I just put it in the chat. But it says, upcoming technical assistance webinars. And so there's a listing of the standing meeting and then office hours.
Okay, great, thank you.
And then the link to Teams, if anybody has, a problem with that link or something, let me know. We're kind of, well, it's a little bit, it's not new, but with using just our standard Teams meetings, in a broader sense, like we do Zoom, we're, just expanding out to more people. So I'm not sure how well it works for, different organizations. So
Natasha, I'm sorry if you wasn't finished with your thought.
No, I just want to say, just keep us posted. So just be, we want to be accommodating. So if the Teams thing isn't working, moving forward for the majority of people, and we need to change it to a Zoom, we can do that.
Okay. Can a training program be approved without credentials?
That's a Tammy question.
Yeah, let's talk offline on that. I need to take a look at what exactly the program is and what the intentions are. I
Okay,
mean,
no problem.
our purpose is, credentials or,
Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am. I got you. Okay.
yeah, just send me an email and we can connect.
And one of the other things too, that's an option with the training programs is, let me just go into one of these, see what it's got here. There's if you have, even if the program doesn't offer credentials, there's a section here for maybe they don't earn the credential upon successful completion, but it's preparing them to earn the following credential. That's an option too. I mean, I don't know if that falls within your situation, but those are two options.
Thank you both.
Yeah, this is Martha Younger White from the Chicago Lighthouse. We actually had a question during our last week's session, and I don't think we got an answer regarding category 1. When we applied for the grant, it said job seeker, and now it's been defined as unemployed. And both myself and Governor State had that question. So Natasha, did you get an answer to that?
Yeah, we just went ahead and made you both 1 and 2.
Oh, okay. So now we can do underemployed. Thank you very much. Also, I think Martha Cherish within our organization has been asking a question about access to GRS. Will that be given separately?
Yes, yeah. I have a list for those that submitted a new request. We've got those IDs, and so I'm going to be sending that out to each of the organizations separately. So you have your ID and instructions on how you're basically going to have to send a note to REC FIT security to get a password reset. And then once that's reset, it'll have the instructions of how to go in and then set up your own password.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Send a link or something, because you're saying it so quickly and I don't know, have the email address for REC ID?
No, yeah. Are you a new one or are you an existing?
We're new. We don't
Okay.
have access to the GRS system at all.
Okay, yeah, well, I am sending out a note to those that have submitted a request. Did you submit a request for a REC FID?
No, who do I submit that to?
Okay, send it to me. Just send me an email and I can send you the form. So if you haven't submitted a request for one, then we need to get that in.
All right, thank you. I'll do that.
And if anybody else is in the same boat where you need to get an ID, REC FID, and you have not submitted that request to me, please send me an email and we'll get the form to you so we can get that established. I think we're in good shape with most everybody though.
I have a question regarding the provider info, that to get approval, are we going to put information for the entire program for approval, or we need to input each individual syllable curricular for the training program to get individual approval? For example, our training program includes a series of different certification programs from different training providers. Do we need to put all the each curricular subtopic to the system and then get, if we have 10 small programs under this big training program, do we need to input all 10 program information, training program information into the system and get each approved for each curricular, each training? How does that work?
Natasha, you got that one?
No, what I thought she was asking, sorry, I was responding to a chat question.
Sorry.
I thought she was asking you a program specific, sorry.
Yeah, I think she was asked about entering if they have like 10 different programs. Now,
I mean, it depends on how, I mean, really, it's a program question, like, because, I mean, I hate to like push it back on you, Tammy, but it's going to be, because when you, I mean, think of it as when you're entering the information, you're enrolling them into that program. So, you know, I mean, if you have, you know, if you have something that's for food service and you have something else for manufacturing and you have something
Yes.
else for whatever, then yes, you need to enter each one of those, because the system's going to also look to see, oh, these people are getting trained for these types of positions and their work experience is in a related field and they earn the credential. And now later on down the road, you know, hopefully we could look at their, you know, if they're still in a related field, you know, occupation in the future.
I see. So yes, for example, we are targeting the food industry and the training program for food sanitation. We have we have a certification program, and then provided by National Restaurant Association. And then we also have, for example, safety certification, restaurant safety or COVID safety education program. Then we need to add another one to the system.
Well, it would be the credentials that they're earning, then is what I'm taking from this. So you have a, your program is in, you know, food hospitality. So they could be earning like maybe an OSHA certificate. They, like you said, a serve safe. They could be earning a, you know, the restaurant manager certificate, whatever. And so that's all certifications within that program. So it's not like you add another program for each certification. You add the certifications to the program.
So certification, even if
Is that correct, Natasha? Am I saying that correctly?
Includes different topics, different certification under just the bigger category.
Yeah, and I want to verify that with Natasha on the entry side.
I mean, I think that, I mean, currently, unless there needs to be a change to the system, it's going to say that I am enrolling Natasha into like this overall bigger picture program. But like if you want to say, and I guess it's more of a Tammy question, is like, I have a provider at location A that's offering this type of service and a provider at location B, you know, do you want to get down to that level, or do you want to say overall, we're going to provide a career pathway program for food, whatever it is. And as part of this culinary program, we'll call it, you're going to, you have the opportunity to earn, certification for this type of thing and a certification for this type of thing and a these 3 different certifications. And, the owner or the institution that's providing these, you can identify those. So let's say we have institution or credential owner. So I should know these. I feel like I've heard them a lot, but like food sanitation, and it's a certification, and it's, the owner is whoever owns it, and a description, again, it's more of a, how do you want to move forward with this, Tammy? If, like I said, the system right now is set up to have one person enroll in like a program, an overall program. And part of that program, could be to earn up to 3, 5, 1, whatever credentials.
Yeah, I think we just need to work with you offline out of this call and just see what your program, because it sounds like you don't have anything set up right now in Illinois Worknet. So you have to get like a time to work with Natasha. Natasha, if you want me to be a part of that, I can definitely do that.
Well, we've gone through it. I think they're clear, like, on how to use the tools. We just need to nail down like the
how detailed. That's
yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
How
How
detailed
far
we
down
need
you
to-
want to go?
Yeah.
Okay. Allison, I see you have your hand raised.
Yeah. So I'm also from the same company, for the same program. So I think I just have a question about the SOC code. So I think what it comes down to is that we can only choose one code. And when I was looking at it, there were three options there were three options, which was waiter, waitress, host, and then management. When I type in restaurant. And so our program prepares participants for all three of these, and it just, and cooks as well, just based on what their interests are, and ultimately where um what position they get into. So if we can only choose one stock code, I mean, I don't know how that works.
But look here,
Should we?
but look, you can choose one, but the stock code, they all start with a 35. So that's really what we're kind of looking at, is that's like this
Okay.
higher level number.
Okay.
Let's see.
So it doesn't matter. Let's say we select cooks, because I know that you've mentioned that the CIP code and the SOC code have to match.
But no, the SOC code right here has, okay, and so I say has to, and it's an essay have to, you just have to be able to explain why it would be in a different field. Like whenever you do your work site placement. So the example would be maybe, I have a transportation distribution logistics program, but I am putting a person in McDonald's. Like, oh, those are two totally different fields. You know what I mean? That they would be completely unrelated. But as far as the system is concerned, if you look up something, in a related field, I'm trying to think of something that would be a higher level. Cooks all other. Let's see what that, I'm trying to get the highest level one. Food. Yeah, I don't know, Tammy. I don't know what you want them to select for this. What I usually tell people is find the best match, but so far from what you've described, food service managers, that's a little bit different.
Yeah, I would definitely say the best fit. And like you said, it's those first two numbers that we really look at when we compare to, based upon if you're doing work-based learning, and then also once they're employed and what sector they're employed in.
It's not an exact science. We're trying to find the best fit, though, because before, we had a person that would like literally go through all of them and say, oh, does this seem like it matches or not? And so we're trying to use the information that we can collect in the system that's a standardized way of, classification and matching that information. And that's why we say it doesn't have to be an exact match. It's just that, you just maybe ask the question. It's like, oh, well, it's just because,
Yeah, and those first two, like she said, are key. They're like the 3-5, the high level.
Okay, that makes sense. Thank you. I had another question. This is like just very program specific to us. So for the training program career pathway, the options were just hospitality and then food or agriculture. I assumed that we would select hospitality, but I wasn't sure because there's no rush, like there's no food service industry in the options.
You're correct on that. It would be hospitality.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, well, to be conscious of everybody's time, we are definitely over about 20 minutes. So if you have any other questions, please reach out to Natasha or myself. And then, like I said, if you have questions next Thursday too, we'll provide opportunities for, questions after each of these sessions, even if it's not related to the sessions. If something comes up, let's just keep your questions, and we can definitely talk about whatever we need to.
Yeah, is it too late to update a training program or take something out?
No,
This is just a hypothetical.
no, you're fine. You can do it.
As long as you're within your scope of work.
Okay.
I mean, you can't completely change from one sector to
Oh,
another.
Yeah, I guess I should clarify. Within Illinois Worknet, you're fine.
Yeah. But it has to be based upon what your program implementation plan, and obviously this was competitively selected, so you can't go outside of what you proposed. With it's got to be in the same vein, basically, is what I'm saying. So, well, with that, we're going to let you guys go. You have a great rest of your day and afternoon, and we will be talking next Thursday.
Thank you. Have a good day.
Thanks.
you.
You too.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.